back to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm John Napier, publisher of Daily Thunder, and I'll be your host today. Alongside me is Daily Thunder beat writer Brandon Rahbar. Before we get into the show, I figure some of you might be wondering what happened to Ryan Woods, our stalwart host in prior seasons. Well, Ryan decided to take a break from hosting duties this season. He was a fantastic host, really committed contributor to Daily Thunder, so I want to take just a brief moment and thank Ryan for the excellent job he did in hosting the pod. And I'm going to try to do my best to keep the train on the tracks in his stead. Brandon, any nice words for your colleague Ryan on the pod?
Yeah, Ryan's great, and we're still in a chat together, so I still get to hear all his views on the NBA and the Thunder. And so I will still be talking with Ryan like we would on the pod. We'll just do it in a text chat instead.
Well, if you have anything funny to share so that the listeners get the benefit of that text chat, don't be afraid to bring it out on the pod.
Okay. Some of his takes can get a little wild, so I'll kind of star some of them, so I'll remember to bring them up later.
Well, he's not afraid to post some wild takes on Twitter, too. I've noticed that.
That's true. That is true.
Well, getting into the show, preseason is done. The Thunder went 4-1, only one loss, which was in overtime to the Rockets. Brandon, should we expect Oklahoma City to win about 80% of its games, like a 65-win clip in the regular season?
You know what? What's funny about that is before Hartenstein got hurt, I think that I saw some takes out there that were around 65 games, which that is a lot. Again, like this Thunder team is really, really good, and I think my win projection is pretty high. But 65 games in this West is a lot of games. But if they win at like a 75% clip, 78% clip. A little step down from the preseason. That's still a pretty solid season, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we'd all take that. So in all seriousness, what were your biggest takeaways from the preseason?
Yeah, so my biggest takeaways were injuries should be turned off in the preseason. Having to watch Hartenstein get hurt and then J-Dub get hurt. Thankfully, it looks like, J-Dub, we dodged the bullet as far as his injury goes. It hasn't been announced, but I would expect Jalen Williams to play opening night against the Nuggets. Adam Silver just banned injuries in the preseason. But other takeaways, I would say the three-point volume for this team, I think, is going to go up. They shot three-pointers percentage-wise at the highest clip in the NBA last season. They shot three-pointers volume-wise at the most average clip in the NBA. So I think Mark Daigneault talked about it, J-Dub has talked about it, Shea's talked about it, that this team wants to shoot more three-pointers. And we saw that in the preseason. I mean, it played out that way, and I think that will continue. That's probably my biggest takeaway. My second takeaway, Chet was much more aggressive going to the rim, in the paint. Took a lot more free throws this preseason. He took like 8 in one quarter. He took 8 in another half. So I think that Chet will be more aggressive. The team seemed to try to get him going early in the paint this preseason. And then Shea's three-point shot would be my third takeaway, just the fact that he was taking so many more. We already talked about that, but the fact that he was taking some catch-and-shoot threes, some pull-up threes, well-defended threes, and he shot them anyways, and he made them at a high clip. So I would look out for the three-point volume, Chet's aggression, and just the fact that Shea's volume and his shot selection when it comes to threes may be more varied this year.
So who was your preseason MVP?
Ooh, that is a great question. I might say, I think J-Dub. I'm going to go with J-Dub for this reason. His three-point volume was much, much higher, and that was something I thought was a big key going into this season, that J-Dub needed to shoot more threes. Daigneault made a point, specifically pointed out Jalen Williams, and he scored a lot of points. He only played like halves of games, but in those halves of games, he was scoring a lot. And this team, I think the only question mark that some, observers have for this Thunder team. The two question marks last season were, inexperience and youth. Well, they got another year older. They added Caruso. They added Hartenstein. They made it to the second round of the playoffs, played 6 games in the second round of the playoffs. So, youth and inexperience, I think you can kind of check that off the list. They're still young, but I'm not worried about that. And then the other weakness everybody talked about was rebounding and size. Well, they got Hartenstein, so you can check that off the list. The only question that I've seen this season is do the Thunder have a reliable second scorer, like a number 2 guy? And I think that most Thunder fans agree that J-Dub is that guy. He was incredibly efficient last year. He had a great rookie season and even better sophomore season. And I think he'll take another leap in his third season this year. And his preseason, it's exactly what you wanted to see. He was aggressive. He took more shots than he would have taken last year. Like last year, he would have hunted for the very best shot and only taken the very best shots. He took some shots in this preseason he wouldn't take last year. So I think he's going to step it up and be that reliable number 2 option for the Thunder this season. I think the preseason was a little tease of that.
Well, you mentioned his three-point shooting volume. Last year, he took over 3 threes a game. How much higher do you think that number could be or should be?
I would double it. I would say 6 a game. I mean, he was at 3.4 last season. I'd like to see it at 6. And that might sound crazy, but he was taking them at a really high clip in the preseason. And, one, I just want him to take more shots, period. 2, I really want a lot of those shots to be three-pointers. I really do. It may sound crazy, but I think he'll double his volume, and I think that's a sweet spot for him. He's such a good shooter, and you have to respect his mid-range. You have to respect him going to the rim. And if defenders are even more worried about J-Dub shooting threes, that opens up the rest of the floor for him as well.
Yeah, I think if he can take a lot more threes and continue to make them at the clip that he made them last year, over 40%, really becomes a more dynamic offense. So shifting to the regular season, a week ago you mentioned Ihart got hurt, suffered a fracture in his left hand in the game against the Nuggets. He's out at least 5 weeks. Team's going to reevaluate then. How do you think this impacts the first month or so of the season?
I mean, it's tough because, you go back to the size and rebounding last year. You really took care of that in a huge way with Hartenstein, one of the best bigs in the game, one of the best rebounders, one of the best rim protectors. So to lose him for, the first month or so, not only that, but we don't know yet about Jay Will and his availability. He's hurt. He had that hamstring strain, and we don't know if he's going to play game 1 or when he's going to come back. And then Kenrich Williams is kind of a big on this team, a backup big. And he's hurt right now as well. We don't know his status as well. All we know is that they're progressing well, was what Martin Daignault said at practice. So, the impact with Hart being gone is, all of a sudden, obviously those double big lineups that everybody was looking forward to, those are going to have to wait. And then the rim protection and rebounding and size when Chet sits. Now you're looking at if Hart is out and Jay Will and Kenrich are out, is the small ball backup big Ousmane Dieng? Is it Dylan Jones, a rookie that's really more of a playmaker? He's 6'5", but he's got a 6'11" wingspan. He's 250. He's built like a truck. We saw a little bit of that in the preseason. Will it be will J-Dub play some small ball? The backup big for the Thunder is yet to be determined, I'd say. It might be backup big by committee until Ihart comes back. And it's a bummer, too, because the Thunder play the Nuggets opening night. They play the Nuggets again just a couple weeks later, early November. They play the Nuggets again. So, some matchups where Ihart would have been really, really helpful. He'll be out. And not only is he out, but the Thunder are possibly even smaller than last year if Jay Will and Kenrich are out as well.
Well, the team did sign Alex Reese to add some depth to the front court. Do you think that Reese is going to have a role?
Yes. I can't believe I forgot to mention Alex Reese.
You just set me up so I could ask the question and look smart, so thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. I got you back. That's an assist. See,
Yeah.
I'm the secondary playmaker here. Alex Reese is such a cool story. He played at Alabama. He took a year off. He wanted to be away from basketball. He became a bartender. He went back to basketball. He played with the Portland G League team, the Rip City Remix, which is just a cool name. And he played really well for them, actually. He's 6'9". He's like 230, so he's got some size to him. The thing with him is he's a really good shooter. He shot 41% from three on pretty high volume in the G League. He didn't play much in the preseason, but he's been with the Thunder in training camp and preseason. He played like 17, 18 minutes in the G League last year. He got like 4.6 rebounds, so he could help. I think that he will play a role. I don't know because we didn't really see him in the preseason, but he could continue the 5-out system. He's a big to throw out there. I like the fact, though, that he can shoot. As far as like his rim protection, I know he averaged like 1 block per game in the G League. So I do think that he'll get some burn. And Mark Daignault basically likes to play lineups and rotations and collect data and see how different players play in rotation. So I think that he will throw everything out there. I think he'll try Alex Reese. I think he'll try Ousmane Dieng. I think he'll try Dylan Jones and just kind of see what works best.
Now, getting into the regular season, you mentioned the matchup against the Nuggets, which is the Thunder's first game on Friday. It's on national TV. Who is the starting lineup? I know we've talked about what Mark may do, and with iHeart injured, I guess we're not really going to know for sure what the starting lineup looks like long term. But Friday night, who are the starting 5?
It will be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, J-Dub, and Chet. We know that those 4 are locked in every single game. I think it's going to be Alex Caruso. And I think even when Isaiah Hartenstein is healthy and available, I think there'll be some matchup dependent stuff, and sometimes maybe iHeart starts. But I think that Caruso is going to start a lot of games, and I would guess mostly be the 5th starter this season. Not always, but I think mostly. And I think opening night, Alex Caruso will be the starter. But you know what, though? Mark Daignault's going to keep us guessing up until the very, very last minute, because in preseason, he did not show his cards at all. When both guys were available and they played all their guys, there was a game where Caruso started, iHeart came off the bench. There was a game where iHeart started, Caruso came off the bench. There was a game where Case and Wallace started and Caruso came off the bench. iHeart was hurt that game, I believe. But still, Caruso came off the bench for Wallace that game. So, it's still a little bit of a mystery box, but I would expect it to be Caruso.
And who's first off the bench?
I will say Isaiah Joe. Or it might be like a double, substitution, and it's Isaiah Joe and Case and Wallace. But I will say Isaiah Joe will be first off the bench. That would be my official guess.
Well, without the size that iHeart brings, do you think Oklahoma City gets started off with a win or a loss?
It's tough. The NBA did the Thunder no favors with this opening week schedule. You have to wait 2 days to watch the Thunder play. Now, granted, it's on national TV, so that's cool. But you open up at Denver and Jokic, and unfortunately the Thunder are without iHeart. And then they have another game 2 days later on the road, and their home opener is the second night of a back-to-back and third game in 4 nights. So no favors done. Back to the question, though. It's a tough one at Denver without iHeart, but this is basically still the same team, except you're flipping Giddey for Caruso, and that's a pretty massive upgrade. And the Nuggets are still a great team, but I think that they're a little bit worse than last year because they lost KCP, their best perimeter defender. I don't know how they're going to slow down Shai. They have nobody to put on Shai. They added Russell Westbrook, who I think he's going to do well in their system. But I still think they're not quite as good as last year. I think this game is a true coin toss, but give me a Thunder win on opening night. The Thunder are better this year, even without iHeart, and the Nuggets are a little bit worse. I know the Nuggets are favored. It's funny because the Thunder are favored to come out of the West and go to the NBA Finals, but they're also favored to lose opening night.
Well, injuries. We'll talk that up to injuries. I like the sunshine pumping there when we get started off with a win. Let's go to the second night, or the second game in Chicago. the Thunder are going to face off against Josh Giddey and also former head coach Billy Donovan. Could the Bulls pull off a stunner? Is Josh Giddey going to make everybody regret the day the Thunder traded him?
No, he's not.
I was waiting for that, yes.
No, I think that Josh Giddey is in a great situation. I still think, he's got a lot of upside as a player. He's going to be much better with the ball in his hands. And he might put up some really good numbers. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he flirts or gets a triple-double, especially against the Thunder. He's kind of going for it that night. So I think he'll put up numbers. But then when you see Caruso's impact that night as well, and you see the Thunder getting a win and the Bulls getting a loss and how Caruso impacts that win, I don't think there will be any regrets, and I do think the Thunder beat the Bulls. I'm pretty confident in that one.
And let's go ahead and talk about the home opener, the second night of a back-to-back, as you noted. This one is against the Hawks and Trae Young. How you feeling about that game?
I guess I should retroactively say that maybe opening night will be a loss because I don't know if they'll get off to a 3-0 start as good as this team is with having 3 games in 4 nights. But I also think that they're a lot better than the Hawks, and it's at home. It is the second night of a back-to-back and third game in 4 nights, but I think that they win that game. But I also kind of think they start off 2-1, and yet I've predicted wins in every one of those, games. So give me 2-1, but also give me they beat the Hawks in the home opener. So the math doesn't math out right, but whatever.
I don't think we can do that. I think we're holding you to 3-0, and the Thunder are winning 65 games this year. So let's play a game. Play a game of buy or sell. All right. So I'll give you something. You tell me if you're buying or selling. So let's start with Vegas odds, giving Oklahoma City the second best chance to win the NBA title. Are you buying the Thunder as the second best or second most likely team to win the championship, or selling it?
Buying. I think that they are, we can't predict any sort of trades or moves or health injuries, anything like that the rest of the season. All we can go by right now is the rosters and team and talent that we see right now. And right now I think that Boston is the best team in the East and OKC is the best team in the West. So I'm buying.
All right. Vegas has the Thunder's over-under on the win total at 57.5. So are you going to buy or sell the Thunder to win 58 games or more?
That one is a true toss-up. I will say buying. If Isaiah Hartenstein was healthy right now and wasn't going to miss the first, 15 to 20 games, I would pretty easily buy that. With him being hurt, it makes me hesitate just a little bit because this West is even more stacked than it was last year. There are a lot of really, really good teams in the West, and it's hard to win, near 60 games. I had this team as a 60-win team before iHeart got hurt. Now that he's hurt, I feel like 58 is just about the right sweet spot. So I will buy, but man, that's a close one.
It's like Vegas knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about win totals, the Thunder own the Clippers' 2025 first-round pick. So everybody in Oklahoma City should be rooting for whoever the Clippers are playing every night. Vegas has set the over-under for wins for the Clippers at 35.5. You buy or sell the Clippers losing 35 games or more. Which would make them a lottery team, almost certainly.
I'm buying. I think that they're a lottery team. Going back to how stacked this West is, tell me which of these teams, the Clippers, with Kawhi out indefinitely, and very likely, even when he gets back, not playing back-to-backs. Well, the Clippers have 16 back-to-backs this year. So take 16 games off the top, and then, just kind of guesstimate with him being out indefinitely how many games he's going to miss. Let's just split it down the middle and say he plays 41 games this season. 41 games of Kawhi, and then James Harden, and then some really good solid role players. But going through the West, who do they finish above? OKC, Minnesota, Dallas, Denver, Phoenix, the Grizzlies, the Lakers, the Kings, the Warriors, the Pelicans, the Rockets. That's when it gets a little okay, maybe the Rockets. But that's 10 teams already. Those are 10 play-in teams already. Then you got like the Rockets and Spurs. I think that the Clippers are right there with the Rockets. The Clippers are right there with the Rockets and Spurs. So yes, I think that the Clippers are a lottery team, and if Kawhi plays less games than that, fewer games than that, it could get really interesting.
Shea has the second best odds to win the NBA MVP. Are you buying or selling Shea finishing second in the NBA MVP voting?
I think that it is truly between. I am buying. I should just answer your question first and get to my explanation next.
Follow instructions, Brandon.
Yeah, my bad. I am. I guess I'm selling. I kind of think he might win it. I think that it's a true two-man race. I think it's Luka and Shea and Luka. I think it's a coin toss. But here's what I think. I think if the Thunder finishes the 1 seed, and if they flirt with 60 wins, and if the Mavs are, like the 3-4 seed, they could easily be the 2 seed. But if Shea finishes above him in the standings, and if he puts up 30, 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 again on the efficiency and the defense that we saw last year, I think it'll be hard not to give it to him. Luka's probably going to put up bigger raw numbers, just like, points, rebounds, assists, and that's going to favor Luka big time. But ultimately, I think it would be hard to ignore Shea leading this young team to the 1 seed in back-to-back seasons, being the best player on the best team in the best conference. So I feel like if they finish the 1 seed, Shea wins it.
Now we're going to talk about J-Dub. He has the second best odds to win most improved player. We've already talked about being a little surprised by all the early pub J-Dub is getting on most improved because he's already so good. But I'm going to pivot, take you a little bit off the scent here. I'm going to ask you about a former Thunder player. Josh Giddey has the 5th best odds to win most improved player. Are you buying or selling Giddey as a real contender for most improved?
For sure buying. His numbers are going to go up. We saw Josh Giddey with the ball in his hands, what kind of like raw numbers he can put up. And he will flirt with a triple-double probably every night. Now, I will say the caveat to this is Lonzo Ball is healthy again. They have Kobe White. They have Zach LaVine. They haven't traded him yet. I don't know if they're going to trade him. So they do have a lot of guards. The idea is that Josh Giddey is going to run the show and be the guy. But, things shake out differently, and maybe, Kobe White gets more usage, Lonzo Ball gets more usage, Zach LaVine. That could change. But the way it's set up right now for Josh Giddey to kind of be the playmaker and be surrounded by these guys, I think if he flirts with a triple-double and being with the Bulls and kind of the large market that they are, I think he's a very real contender for most improved player for sure, especially kind of given the flack that he was given last season just because he didn't fit with the Thunder and kind of all the things that he went through last season. If he had a big statistical season and was kind of seen as a changed player in a changed environment this season, I can definitely see him in the running.
All right, let's go to Vegas now. I know you're working on the annual column with your statements made with extreme confidence. Why don't you give the listeners a preview? Give us one prediction heading into the 24-25 season.
All right, one prediction that this is the one I'll say because it's probably the one I'm least confident about, but it's a bold prediction. I think that the Thunder have more than one All-Star this year. I don't know who that will be. I don't know if that's going to be J-Dub or Chet, but, Shea is a lock. And then I think either J-Dub or Chet gets in. We've seen how the 1 seed, the best team in a conference, is rewarded with multiple All-Stars. The West is incredibly hard to get in. It's always hard to crack it for the first time, to break in. And you got guys like Wemby, who almost seems like a lock right now. So it's hard to break into the Western Conference for the first time as an All-Star. But I just think that if the Thunder are the 1 seed at the All-Star game 2 years running and are considered the best team, and J-Dub and Chet play the way that we all think that J-Dub and Chet are going to play this season, that the Thunder will get 2 All-Stars this year.
So you think that J-Dub could potentially beat out Bronny James for a spot as an All-Star reserve?
No, I didn't say that. Bronny's the lock as well, so that's making it even tougher for J-Dub or Chet to break in because that's one spot gone. You joke, but those Lakers fan vote totals for Bronny are going to be ridiculous. Like I would not be, when they like come back and they like list like the top 10 vote getters from fans, I will not be surprised if Bronny makes an appearance.
That's a really good point with the fan voting, and even not just the Lakers fans. I think some people might find it funny to vote for Bronny. And that, did you watch his debut last night?
Yeah, I gotta admit, I thought it was pretty cool. Like, regardless of what anybody thinks of Bronny as a player, as a prospect, as the 55th overall pick, whether or not they should have, told teams not to draft him, whether they would have drafted him if his name wasn't LeBron James Jr., all those things said, I still thought it was cool to see a father and son check into a game together and play in the NBA together and to make history. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a pretty neat moment, and I imagine that was sort of scripted. They planned on having that happen on opening night. Do you think Bronny's going to get minutes on a regular basis?
I don't think that I think that he will get sporadic minutes. I think that, again, putting aside what anybody thinks of him as a player, he's still a 55th overall pick rookie. And in this scenario, on a team that, considers themselves contenders, they're going to play their guys that are going to help them win every night for the most part. But because he is Bronny, I do think that he will get minutes here and there and play with his dad some. So I think he'll get minutes, but not a lot. And now that this, the opening night, playing with his dad, the moment has passed, now I think his minutes will be very sporadic.
And as far as the result, do you think we can read anything into one game? Because the Lakers looked pretty good in comparison to the Wolves. They led virtually wire to wire. Does that say something about the Lakers or more about the Wolves?
When the Lakers are healthy, they're still a tough team. And there's a lot of, some of that is shooting variance. It's a one-game sample size. A lot of times opening nights are kind of funky anyways. I would say, though, it says more about the Timberwolves still trying to figure out themselves. Changing from Cat and the role that he had on that team to Julius Randle and DiVincenzo, whether or not you think that makes them a better team, worse team, or the same team, it's going to take an adjustment. This just happened. It's going to take an adjustment to kind of figure out roles and rotations and things like that after that big trade. So I think it's more of a, the Wolves trying to figure themselves out more than the Lakers. The Lakers are pretty much the same team from last year. They just happen to be healthy right now, and it's the beginning of the season, so LeBron and AD have fresh legs right now.
Well, the Celtics look pretty impressive against the Knicks. They tied an NBA record for three-pointers made. Assuming you were watching, when they missed 13 straight to close out the game to try to break the record, were you rooting for them to make it or rooting for them to miss? Because missing it over and over and over again was kind of funny.
It was kind of fun. I was rooting for them to miss only because I'm one of those guys that records. I like records that happen organically and like when you're trying for a record and you're like taking bad shots and taking repeated shots to try to break the record, if this was the Thunder and, it's a team I'm covering, that's a different thing. But, seeing the Celtics coming off a championship and trying to break a record that's not organically, kind of like in the NFL, like when Michael Strahan broke the record and like Brett Favre took a dive so he could get that last sack to break like an age-old record. Like, I thought that was cheap. I like Michael Strahan. I thought it was cool on Brett Favre's part. Like, he did it for him. But ultimately, I was like, that's cheap. Like, it's taking a record away from somebody who, got it organically. So I guess that's what I'm saying. So I was rooting for them to miss.
Do you think the Thunder have any chance of breaking the record this season? You talked about Shea shooting more, J-Dub shooting more, maybe even Ihart shooting more threes than actually shooting threes. The Celtics took 61 threes last night. So for the Thunder to break the record, they have to take quite a few. Yeah. Any possibility?
I mean, yeah, it's a possibility just because Thunder team does have a lot of really good 3-point shooters. I think that in this era, any team that takes a lot of threes and is a good 3-point shooting team can break that record on, a night where they're really hot, or maybe the defense is bad, or a combination of the two. Just because in this, that record is going to go down, just like given the nature of the game and how, 3-point volume continues to go up. So somebody's going to break that record, and it very well could be the Thunder because they have the shooters to do it.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come with missing 13 straight in order to break the record.
At least it wasn't 29 straight, right?
Oh yeah. I'm going to close with one question here. ESPN came out with the ranking of the NBA arenas. The Paycom Center ranked 19th. Should we be insulted?
No, I don't think so. I think that's fair. Yeah, look, the Paycom Center, when you think about it, and this is admittedly they've admitted this themselves. I guess the city or whoever purchased Paycom or whatever, that it was originally supposed to be like a hockey arena. It wasn't built for basketball. It's on the older side. The capacity isn't as high as some. So when you take all those things into factor, I think 19th is fair. And knowing that in 2028, 4 years from now, there's going to be a new arena that I expect to be near the top of this list when that is built, only because I did 30 minutes of internet research on the company Manica, I believe is how it's pronounced, that's going to do it. They did the Chase Center. They did the O2 Arena in London. They did the new Wembley Stadium. Their portfolio is crazy. They did the Raiders' new stadium, Allegiant Stadium. Their arenas and stadiums are, I don't know the right word to use because I'm not an architecture guy. I'll just say really, really cool, awesome. Those kind of I don't have the right descriptor words to describe them, but they look great. So I'm really excited to see what they come up with for the new OKC arena. But 19th for now for the Paycom, I think is fair. I'm actually surprised it's not lower, just because, how they usually when Thunder logo and branding and stuff like that. They usually rank so low on those lists. I'm actually surprised 19th that it's that high.
So we should be happy with the ranking. That's the way that I'm going to close it. And I would also add that, you did your research into the architecture firm that's going to be designing the arena. It seems like the city is really going all in on making it a world-class facility. We're talking about $1 billion that is going to be invested to build this thing. So there's a lot to look forward to. And of course, it kind of keeps the team here long-term as if there was any danger of them leaving. But I think there's a lot of reason for optimism of what the next arena looks like. Before we close, though, I do want to pour a little with salt, and you could probably send it right back to me, though. Let's switch to NFL for a little bit. The Cowboys are coming off a bye week. Thank goodness for them. The last game they played, what was the score?
Oh, my gosh. I'm sorry. I got in a bad connection here. I'm going to have to go before this question is finished. All right, go ahead. It's 49ers Cowboys week. Go ahead, get me. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I've got tough skin.
Well, what do you think the problem is for the Cowboys?
I mean, I don't want to pile on the guy, but it's Jerry Jones. Okay, as somebody who's followed the Thunder every step of the way and covered the Thunder for the past several years and seen how the Thunder front office handle things, whether that be, their the contracts, free agency, trades, just their personal connections with their coaches and team and players, and how they handle the press and all those things. And then being a Dallas Cowboys fan for my entire life and seeing how their front office handles things, it is such a stark difference. So yeah, it's the Cowboys have a lot of really good talent. They draft well, but they're not players in free agency. They're not players, in the trade market, and they don't really capitalize with the talent when they should.
Well, apologies for bringing it up. You're probably going to have the opportunity to throw it right back at me, since I will mention that I'm a 49er fan and things are not good. The vibes are bad. The injuries are mounting, but it is Cowboys Niners week, and at least one of us will feel a little bit better about our team come Sunday night.
I'll go ahead and say you're going to feel better. I mean, the Cowboys may get Micah Parsons back this week and may get Deron Bland back this week, which would be a huge boost to the defense. So maybe the 49ers only score like 35 this week. So.
Well, the defense for the Cowboys has definitely struggled. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm John Napier, host of the podcast. He's Brandon Rahbar, Daily Thunder beat writer. If you enjoy the show, reminder to subscribe to the Daily Thunder podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you're hearing, please do us a favor and leave us a rating or review and tell your friends. There's a great season up ahead. There's going to be a lot of great content on the pod, and we'll be back in your feed soon.